Us, a 2019 psychological horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele and starring an ensemble cast that includes Lupita N'yongo, Winston Duke, Shahadi Wright Joseph, Evan Alex, Elisabeth Moss, and Tim Heidecker. The story follows Adelaide Wilson and her family, who are attacked by a group of menacing doppelgangers called the Tethered. This film premiered in 2019 and was a critical and commercial success, grossing $256 million worldwide against a budget of only $20 million. And Jordan Peele's sophomore effort as a director. It received praise for Peele's screenplay, direction, Lupita N'yongo's performance, and Michael Abel's score. And since then, it has been cited as one of the best horror films of the 21st century. Vincent, what say of your selection for tonight's stop in Bootober of Us?
Well, before we start, part of the reason that I've waited so long to talk about this movie is because I do believe this is a film that it's best you kind of go in cold and see it and wanted to wait a long time so people have had an opportunity to see it. If you are listening to this review and you still have not seen the film, I'm going to speak for Len and say, regardless of how much we do or do not enjoy the film, I think both of us will land on you need to go watch it.
Yes.
So if you're waiting to hear, are we going to say you need to go watch it? Go watch it. Come back. From this point forward, I will be speaking as if you have seen the film.
Yes. So spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead. Having said that, I think that since Get Out, every film that addresses social issues, every horror film that has addressed social issues, whether it has been made by Black people or anyone, like any sort of film, Get Out has been the framework in which that is discussed within. And certainly as Jordan Peele's second film, the shadow of Get Out,
it's huge,
looms large. And the thing about Get Out is, in a lot of ways, it's this very elegant film. Like, it's got this very straightforward narrative of body horror and people stealing your body. And just before you get to the social concerns, I think it is this really tight film, just as the filming. And then when you bring in the social aspect and commentary, that also works in this very strong way. And then you land on what has become a classic already.
Exactly.
Get Out. I think much like Get Out, you end up looking at Us through both of these lenses. As you said, this is a film about a family who ends up being terrorized by some doppelgangers, so that all four of the principals are playing two roles, and the roles, the role of the antagonist, the role of the monsters, are the tethered, and they are monstrous. And as just doppelganger, I don't know if doppelganger horror is a genre in and of itself, but you think about a film like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and this is certainly in that tradition, of the monster is me, right, and I am the monster. And
but doppelganger gets you to like twin films,
right? And it is effective. It is very effective. That you basically have 8 doppelgangers that are focused on in this film. While certainly there is the family of Gabe and Adelaide, who are the Black family at the center, you also spend a pretty significant time with their neighbors, which is a white family played by Elisabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker, and then their daughters.
Yeah.
And again, just
they're twin daughters. So, right. So now, at one point, the daughter Zora says there are too many twins. So just on that level,
it is effective. I think in a lot of ways, talking about filmmakers reminding you of each other and filmmakers, there's something about Jordan Peele's filmmaking that reminds me of Spike Lee's filmmaking in this fashion, where you can take discrete scenes and just pull it out of the movie. Mm-hmm. And there's enough information there that it almost plays like a miniature little narrative in and of itself. So I'm thinking about there's a moment where Adelaide, played by Lupita N'yongo, and Gabe, played by Winston Duke, and their family, they go to the beach and meet Elisabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker's family, and they're on the beach. And it plays like a little movie where Adelaide is trying to figure out who's there. The moment when the tethered family actually invades the house where Gabe and Adelaide and their families is a masterful 5-minute moment where even today, where, I think this is at least my 4th time, because you and I have watched, this is our 3rd time me and you have watched it.
Yeah.
This is maybe my 5th time watching it. From the moment that the tethered appear at the top of the driveway to the moment where Gabe's doppelganger pulls him out of the house, I was on the edge of my seat. It is so tight and so well made. Moments between the various doppelgangers fighting each other, all done really well. There's a sequence in Tim Heidecker's and Elisabeth Moss's character's house,
yes,
where the main family go in. That, again, this is a film that establishes that Jordan Peele is a great filmmaker, just filmmaking. And from beginning to end, I think this is a film that you can enjoy without social commentary.
You can just enjoy on a superficial horror film
level. And then there is the social part of it, where the tethered very much are representative of the underclass. They're representative of sort of disenfranchised folks. And much like we talked about with when the levees broke, it hit different after COVID for me. Like, there was that whole period during COVID where it's like the most bitter of ironies, where we call people essential workers. And for a lot of it, if you unpacked it enough, what we were really saying is, we need you people to do what you do to keep my life convenient.
Right.
And we treat people as disposable. We treat people as this sort of class that we get what we want from them, and then we forget about it. And on that level, I do have to say, I think it works. Like there's an additional level once you bring race into it, which I'll get to. But just on the level of Gabe and Adelaide's family, Tim Heidecker and Elisabeth Moss's family kind of represent this very aspirational upper middle class group. And then their doppelgangers are literally under them, who have now risen up to try and take their place. Like, it almost parallels what you saw in like the film Parasite. It's not as elegant as Get Out, but it works. There's a moment where I think it's Gabe says to Red, who is
her doppelganger,
which is Lupita N'yongo's doppelganger, who are you people? And she says, we are Americans. And it's like, all right, that's a little ham-fisted. That's a little little on the nose. But okay, I'll allow it. But it works. It does work. The performances, I have to say, the performances went from I wasn't surprised at all to that was a pleasant surprise to phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Elisabeth Moss is one of the real great actors of the 20th century.
21st century.
21st century, as far as I'm concerned. And while certainly her character, Dahlia, and Dahlia's doppelganger are effective roles and effective moments, I was not the least bit surprised that she smashed it.
Oh, of course.
It was like this is 100% what I expected from Elisabeth Moss. Along those lines, in a film with Angela Bassett, Lupita N'yongo, Chadwick Boseman, and a bazillion dollars, Winston Duke almost stole Black Panther.
Yep.
So Winston Duke crushing this role as Gabe was also something I was not that surprised by. He does a fantastic job, but I just assumed he would have done a fantastic job.
Well, you know, where he is surprising in this is because this follows Black Panther, and because of the size of him. Yeah, you go into it maybe thinking this character that he's going to play, and you could see him crush it. But no, there's a whole nother layer. His character is totally against the type.
He's funny, which he was in Black Panther. Mm-hmm. He's sexy, which he was in Black Panther. As the doppelganger, he's menacing, which he was in Black Panther.
Well, when you said sexy, I don't know if he's necessarily supposed to come off as sexy.
You apparently have never spoken to a woman about Gabe in this film.
No. But I don't think I think you could look at him and see sexy, but I don't think he's trying to portray.
Right. He just is. Yeah.
He just is.
Which, put a pin in that, because that goes to my read once we start talking about race at some point. Tim Heidecker was a real surprise for me.
Yes.
Like I'm not, Tim Heidecker, I really only know him from that Adult Swim,
that whole
Cartoon Network, like kind of 3 a.m. You kind of watch it and like, I think I'm supposed to be high when I watch this, like that whole kind of, but I have to say that kind of Tim and Eric world is always a little unsettling. Yeah. And I think Tim Heidecker nails this both times. Like when he plays the character who is the main version of himself, Josh. Mm-hmm. Josh is kind of funny frat boy, but there's something underneath there. A little. Yeah. Like there's some energy underneath there that makes that a little uncomfortable. And then his tethered opposite is unsettling, but then there's something a little funny underneath. So like he plays this wonderful mirror image of himself. Yeah.
Because I don't think he can. I think that's his speed.
Yeah. But he nails it, which is a testament to his performance and Jordan Peele's direction.
And
the kids.
Oh my God.
The kids 201 are fantastic. Madison Curry plays Adelaide in the past. Mm-hmm. I don't think she has
a line.
She does not have a line. But as tethered Adelaide and Adelaide, and then tethered Adelaide, last chance, folks, who replaces Adelaide, she is phenomenal.
Yes,
like,
she is.
Absolutely. And my one question is the same question that I've had since this movie came out. Why is this child not working more?
I know.
Evan Alex as Jason, the son, as someone with an 8-year-old who's at that kind of wonky 8-year-old speed, I love how he really encompasses this little boyness, where it's kind of charming. It's kind of this, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing over there exactly? And I love him as this little boy.
You know what I also love about his performance here, and this is as much to his performance, but also the writing, is that he is a little boy. He is an 8-year-old little boy, but he is actually acting as an 8-year-old would in this situation.
Yeah.
You know, he's not being smart aleckly. He's not smarter than everybody else. He's observant. He picks up on things and he's able to bring that to bear. But he is also still, you know, following the adults, following my big sister.
Right.
You know, it's right in line there.
He's smart.
But he's smart.
He's smart. And, you know.
But he's not smart aleck.
He's not. Right. And we can talk about the references and the things, the inspirations. But I always use Newt from Aliens.
Okay.
Which I think Aliens is on here. Like, Newt is my ultimate kid character. And on a scale of 1 to Newt, I think Jason is Newt. Like, I feel like Jason and Newt are acting the same way. Shahidi Wright Joseph as Zora is a little older. Also fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
And as this family who have to deal with this, they all have chemistry. They seem like a family. The performances, Lupita N'yongo, this is my absolute favorite bar none performance by Lupita N'yongo.
Wow.
Like Lupita N'yongo as Adelaide and as Red.
/Red, yeah.
And once you realize that Adelaide,
what the deal
is the tethered Adelaide grown up who has switched out earlier, every time you watch it, you see that tethered
more and more
in the Adelaide throughout the film.
And it's there from the very beginning.
And then you also see the sadness in Red.
Yes.
And you know, I land, you know, I'll just stop here. I land this is, you know, I think I think the internal logic falls apart a little bit if you think about it longer than 3 minutes. But even with that, I love us.
I'm glad you touched on that, their internal logic, because that is one of the things that critics, you know, point out about this film, right? And I think what that is because, one, Get Out, which was Jordan Peele's first film, you know, we haven't officially said that's what it was, but Get Out was such an amazing film, such a blockbuster, and like you said, in this film, you could watch this on a superficial level and just enjoy an interesting psychological horror film, right? Get Out is a psychological horror film, but the race is really like it is what makes the movie. It is what the movie is about, right? So you can't escape the race in Get Out. In this one, I think, especially because it's a sophomore movie, people go into it expecting for the race component to be as much a focal point of the film as it was in Get Out. And while it's there, I think that honestly in this movie, Jordan Peele's first, you know, his mission statement was to make a good horror movie, right? And in a good horror movie, the best horror movies, if you pick apart at some of the plot threads, it comes unraveling. But it's all about you being lost in the moment, lost in the craftsmanship, the writing, the acting, so that you say, I'm just going to watch and enjoy this horror movie, right? And then if you're lucky enough, there's something a little deeper that's hitting you, which is there in Us, where it talks about classism, where it talks about race, where and everything else there. If you're lucky, especially with Get Out, because there's not so much of a twist in Get Out. There's a little bit of a twist, but if you paying attention, you kind of see it coming, and it doesn't ruin the movie for you. You just realize, like, oh, they are the bad guy. I thought they were, and they're really bad, right? This movie, there's a twist that first time watching, you're going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, wait. And it makes you just relive everything that you saw. This is what this is you've always mentioned this about how the Sixth Sense is all about, everybody remembers the Sixth Sense because of the twist. But when you think about it, it's just really an okay movie. It's just this twist that got you. This movie, no, this is a good movie. And then the twist makes you want to go back and just like, wait a minute.
Right, like immediately watch it again.
Right, because you don't think he's playing fair with you. Like people point out about how Shyamalan maybe is not playing fair with people in Sixth Sense.
I am people.
Right. Jordan Peele, he's playing fair with you from day one. You just gotta pay attention.
Yep.
You got to pay attention. And if you pay attention and then you get to Lupita N'yongo, because as you said that, I'm like, wow, her best performance. This probably is her best performance. And I love Lupita N'yongo and almost everything I've seen her.
Of course.
But you're right. Because as fair as he's playing, it still is very underplayed that she is actually the tethered as Adelaide. So you would miss it. It comes out more and more as the movie goes along, but it's there at the very beginning and just some subtle ticks, some subtle head nods, some subtle like inflections of how she speaks, rhythms that she can't quite catch. I was
about to say she snaps off rhythm.
Like you really start seeing it, right? All of that marries together to giving you what you go to the movies for, is just to have an experience. Yes, you want to take in a film, you want to take in a good movie, but you also want to have an experience. You want to have something that you're going to be talking about afterwards.
Yes.
Something that you not only wholeheartedly recommend to people, you want to go with people to watch it again because you want to see, did you get it? Did you catch it? Did you catch it? Because I caught it. Oh, wait a minute. It's something else.
Right.
Like you want to be in on that scene. Like you said, this is like a fifth time watching this film. I'm sitting watching. I'm like, oh, still, man. I mean, like it's just an amazing craftsmanship on record. And you talked earlier in the show about, the question is, what are some directors' best second films? It's hard to top Get Out. I'm not saying Us tops Get Out. But it's going to be real hard for a lot of people's second films to top Us. Because Us, it just really rewards upon rewatching.
Yeah, and speak, just reward, as you say, I think this is a film rewards you two ways. I think this sort of almost film nerdy way, or in film nerdy as in looking for the clues. Yeah, like you said, they really kind of set a like one of the references is that they are filming The Lost Boys. Yes. During the moment that this film is set. And The Lost Boys is, of course, about a town with this secret underneath it. So, of course, that's a reference. Adelaide's dad wins her a Thriller t-shirt. And as we all know from the Thriller video, the twist is at the end of the video where you realize he's the monster. And you have this kind of thing throughout where again, Jordan Peele as the filmmaker, as you said, is playing fair with you. At one point, after Adelaide has disappeared for 15 minutes and she switched out with tethered Adelaide, and then they take her to therapy because she's not talking, her mother, played by Anna Diop, says, I just want my little girl back. And tethered Adelaide looks very knowingly. So all throughout you have that. But, you know, I have to say, coming a week after a film dedicated to HBCUs and Black colleges, what really kind of keeps me with this movie, you know, we talked about it's really this kind of commentary on capitalism and everything, and sort of this almost predatory capitalism, like in a lot of ways. Our Adelaide, who we find out is the tethered, who has switched out with who becomes Red, is like the ultimate kind of cat, like, you know, I went for self.
Yeah.
Like she pulled herself up by her bootstraps. And, you know, the problem with the way that we operate in this capitalist world is that oftentimes it is a zero-sum proposition. Like, for me to get mine, you got to lose yours.
Somebody got to take an L.
Right, exactly. And even by the end, when you realize that the Adelaide you've been cheering for the entire time is the tethered Adelaide, you are left with these complicated feelings where it's like, well, Red brought her family out, and Red basically sets it like Red, you know, the tethered Gabe takes Gabe out. Zora and her doppelganger, they race, like they actually race. The two little boys are face to face. And look, you got to earn your spot.
That's right.
And apparently, these are the four that earn their spots. And what's more American than that? So you have these very complicated feelings, but then you bring race into it. And this is a family that is very much coded as a Black family. So what I always say is, what is this commentary on Blackness and sort of what we've come to call Black excellence? Like, what does this say about quote unquote Black excellence, where, you know, there was a lot of chatter about Gabe wearing the Howard sweatshirt. Yeah. And, you know, I read an interview with Jordan Peele and Winston Duke where they said, you know, kind of go, you assume everything in this film is there for a specific purpose.
And Jordan says that.
But he talks about how he very specifically wanted to reference Howard University as this site of Black excellence. And, you know, even something like the little girl's name is Zora, like it's the most Black middle class name ever. You know, you name your little girl Zora. But what does it say that this Black family that we would look to as aspirational, this is the price that is paid out? You know, I always say the cheat code to Jordan Peele movies is he kind of he gives you the stakes. Pretty like, what are the stakes of this thing? You know, and Get Out, Daniel Kaluuya, like that beautiful first scene is Daniel Kaluuya, and you know, he's shot very stylized, and he's a good looking guy, and it's all of his photography because the character is a photographer, and you realize that the stakes are this man's life. Right. Like, you understand how they want to take this man. Nope. They set it up with the prologue on the television show with the chimp that goes crazy. And you know that Nope is about the danger of spectacle and what happens when you try to control a wild animal. Like, wild animals are actually aliens. And then that sets it all up. And I always say, like, this setup is, it starts with the Hands Across America commercial. And they never make it clear whether or not it is Adelaide or tethered Adelaide who's watching the commercial. Right. I've assumed that it's tethered Adelaide watching it, and this is her trying to learn and figure out how to operate now that she's above ground. But then it goes to this moment in the car. It's like this beautiful moment in the car with this Black family, and Winston Duke is kind of goofy dad, and Lupita N'yongo is sort of angelic and beautiful, and she's asleep, and the kids are in the back, and it's almost like a sitcom. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is the goal right here. Like this is who we want to be. And again, what do you do to get this. I have a friend who says that that's sort of the end goal of the black middle class is to find a comfortable space within a system of white supremacy. It's like, wow, that's like, but it's like, you ain't trying to break, I'm just trying to find my space in this thing. This little pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of this family is finding its own little pocket. Like, I love the fact that they are a unit. Like, when they show Tim Heidecker and Elisabeth Moss's family, they are woefully unprepared for any of this. And they're taken out immediately by their doppelgangers, as opposed to Adelaide and Gabe, where, there's a moment where but then they figure it out.
They train. They got little codes, show them your tricks.
And as you said, how it plays differently once you know what's going on with Adelaide. There's a moment where Zora says she wants to quit running track because she, and then Gabe, her father says, yeah, but what about making the Olympics? And she said, well, I'll never make the Olympics. And Adelaide says, in the most aspirational black mother way, oh, you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it.
That's right.
Which many of us have heard a version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you can do anything you want if you set your mind to it. But when you realize that the person saying
that,
what they've done,
that it only through the force of her own,
when she put her mind to it, it kind of like what is happening here. And for me, that is what stays with me as sort of the social commentary.
Yeah.
Like certainly I do think that just that generalized late stage predatory capitalism again, like I need to get my DoorDash, I need to get my Chipotle delivered, I need Amazon Prime, I need that, the lady to drive up in the driveway and drop that box off and keep it moving. And even though we're in the midst of a pandemic and people are literally risking their lives, my Blackula t-shirt that I bought off of TeePublic, because I'm sitting in here buying t-shirts, isn't going to get here by itself. So, chop, and then I'll leave you 5 stars for you. Ding. I mean, is that not what we did?
That's exactly what.
Is that not what we did? Do you not have a pile of graphic novels and shit sitting in your house that you bought during the pandemic? And Amazon said it's coming today between 8 and 9, and people risk their lives so that we could eat and be entertained and do all these things. And then if you ask them, they say, well, who are you people? And they would say, well, we are Americans. But then you also have this racialized part on top. And, I think that's what makes the film sustain.
Yes. That's what makes it why you can keep going back to this film. And I think that actually will give you said sustain, I'll give it make it an instant classic. That you can replay this movie 10 years from now because there's not a lot of cultural touchstones. There's not, first of all, there was praise given to the score. The music is absolutely spot on in this movie. And we're talking about the score, but also just the soundtrack. I will never hear "Fuck the Police" by NWA the same way again because of this film. And I don't think I ever really even liked the song until I heard it in this song.
Look, talking about this sort of ongoing theme in this film of sort of the beautiful, but something menacing underneath it. Good Vibrations.
Yep.
Is
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys' Good Vibration. It's one of the songs that they release off of Pet Sounds, which is like his, this artsy album. But when you listen to Good Vibrations, it's kind of catchy, but then it's got that eeriness underneath it. Fuck the Police is super duper catchy, but the lyrics of it. And then me, when it ended with the Minnie Riperton, it was like, look, the costume design. immediately iconic.
Yep.
Like immediately.
Yep.
That Halloween, people just put on the red.
And you still see them.
And it's immediate.
With the scissors.
You barely need the scissors.
Really, you don't.
Like if you put on those red overalls, that is everything. Now, we can ease up with all the love. The internal consistency and the logic of it.
Okay.
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, it makes no sense.
Like not a lick. Like this whole sentiment of the people under the ground and they forgot about them, and then they've been down there for generations and they're eating a rat. And I was like, this doesn't seem
just in some some tunnels that we made and we just forgot about.
I love the little placard at the beginning where Jordan Peele is acting like he dropping some jewels. There are subway lines and underground hangars, and no one knows what they're used for at all. I was like, oh, Jordan Peele, he's spitting right now. He's telling us some stuff, I guess. And then they're all pretending to, and it's a very evocative image. It
is.
It's very evocative.
It is.
But much like today, I've always thought, well, who's making the shirts exactly like the shirts upstairs?
Exactly.
I was like, is it a printing press down there? Or how does this work with the shirts?
Okay. The movie makes no sense. All right. We haven't really pulled at the plot. Right. Because it makes no sense.
Hey. But it's not about that. And if all you eat is rabbit, that's not enough to really sustain you. And
well, why not?
And I understand tethered Adelaide was a bad girl, but she the only one to figure out to go up the steps. It's just an escalator.
That's true. And she was a young girl when she did that.
Right.
That has always bothered me. It's it was really just the one young girl.
Right. And then when Red says, I realized I was special and then I was in charge and then I wanted to, I was like, it's like you were 7 when you got kidnapped and now you're 37. You trying to tell me after 3 years you didn't just come back? Come up the steps or something?
Well, I mean, all right. I'm not going to pull at it that much because I can see them keeping the little girl down there. All right, especially when they realize that, oh, she can actually talk. She can actually she can order DoorDash for us. You know what I mean? So I can see her not going up the steps, and then as you said, she spends her formative years. Right. With the tethered.
She talks about eating the rabbit raw and bloody. I was like,
her throat is kind of messed up.
At some point, they start a fire. Why don't you cook the rabbit?
Look.
Something.
Okay.
I just had questions.
You have questions.
And then they did it in Nope, where they had the moment where Zor said, they're controlling us through the floor rod. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is kind of speaking to government conspiracy. Because in the film's defense, what we know about the tethered, when Red has her monologue about the tethered being down there, she has the most powerful words in the English language when she starts. She says, I believe.
Right.
That this is that and the other this. So, she's clearly an unreliable narrator because she was kidnapped
as a little girl
by her evil doppelganger when she was 7 and handcuffed to a bed.
Right.
Adelaide was a bad girl.
She was.
She was. Adelaide said to Zor, you can do anything you want to if you set your mind to it.
That's right.
It's this, ooh.
It didn't land like that when my mom said it.
Right. Exactly. Oh, you won't be in the Olympics? Oh, you can be in the Olympics if you want it bad enough.
I went crying to my dad Mommy said I could be whatever I wanted.
If I want it bad enough. Boy, look, when they start coming in and Red told Zora, go put your shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh shit, it is go time.
Yeah.
It is. And then she told, you know what I love about Gabe? Gabe perfectly read the room. Gabe perfectly, Gabe was, I'm dad, I'm the husband, I'm in charge. And Adelaide said in a tethered voice tone, you do not get to make the decisions anymore. Gabe said, all right. All right. You got it.
Yep. Winston Duke, ladies and gentlemen.
Winston Duke reading the room.
So would you recommend that people see Us?
Absolutely. Look. Until further notice, I really do think 3 Up, 3 Down, you have to watch Jordan Peele's movies.
Yeah, it has only been 3.
Yeah,
he's produced so much.
Right. Like when Jordan Peele actually gets behind the camera, you got to watch it. And I think there's a lot. This is a great meal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great meal. As we both said, you want to turn your brain off.
It's a whole
get some popcorn.
Max cheese thing.
Right. Like you turn your brain off, just get some popcorn. Hell, have some drinks. Like watch it, and just as an enjoyable thriller, I think it 100% works like that. Delivers. If you want to watch this clear-eyed with a notebook and your computer open, looking up articles and cross-referencing it, and just as this very cerebral text,
mm-hmm.
I think it works like that as well. But if you just want to see some great performances, like I still think child actor performances are few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, Black child actors don't have the opportunities to shine that often. And you get 3 great kid performances in here, like 3 great kid performances who are acting as 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like each of the kids gets to be their doppelganger, which is pretty extraordinary. And then, just the performances across the board. Like we've talked about these 4, and I don't know if I'm gonna stay up till 3 a.m. to watch any Tim Heidecker or anything, but I was really pleasantly surprised by his performance. And on the other end, like I said, I'm not going to say definitively this is her best performance, but it's easily my favorite Lupita N'yongo performance. So yeah, absolutely.
I would definitely also recommend that you see Us, ladies and gentlemen. It is a phenomenal film and one that rewards upon rewatching.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have seen it already, watch it again. Introduce it to someone. It's a film that I think works as a horror movie, but also as a thriller, like you said. I mean, there are definitely some touches of M. Night Shyamalan or some of your best horror auteurs
mm-hmm.
in this, but there are definitely also shades of Hitchcock and Brian De Palma in this movie as well. So you can see all of Jordan Peele's influences mm-hmm. right here on the film, mm-hmm. but filtered through his mindset, because he definitely brings his own creative bent to the script as well as to the direction. Phenomenal film. Go see Us.